Hey guys, this is Ross Hamil,
And Jacob?
and we are with Hamil Bros Studios, if you couldn't tell by just looking at your screen. We're going to do a commentary for The Curse of the Werepaw, so I being the writer and the director, and Jacob being pretty much, everything else on set. And you changed a light bulb.
I did.
You did
and
change a light
pulled
bulb.
focus, all with a hand that had previously been set on fire.
Yeah. So, fun stuff.
And it was my hand. It wasn't somebody else's hand I was using.
Yeah, that was an important detail. Thank you for pointing that out. So, Jacob did design our poster here, as you can see. Fun stuff. And I guess we'll just dive right into it. So pretty much, this is going to be a little bit different from a commentary, from other commentaries, because we're not just going to do a straight watch through of the movie. I think, we will pause and talk about things as they happen, because I always find it kind of distracting when the director's talking about something in the movie's moving on and you're 10 minutes later and you have no idea what's going on. So that is how we're going to do this. So let's kick it off. So first thing you'll notice is the grain and the shiny stuff. We wanted this to look like a 1930s, 1940s horror movie. So pretty much all of that was done in post.
Yep.
So this was the house that we were supposed to be shooting in, and it was actually a really nice house, but it was kind of difficult to get everything lined up, so we just made do and just used the exterior of it.
And himself.
All right,
The other
Avery.
man himself.
Yeah. And that guy.
Yeah, well,
There's that guy.
and that guy.
Yeah. There's Jacob's acting debut in this movie.
Yeah. Tends to happen in that suit.
Say tug of war. How do you play tug of war with a pig, you might ask you? Pull the tail, pull the snout. So he's scanning the area, and the rabbi says, "That's not a fur coat, that's my wife."
Okay, so this shot right here, we had to do in multiple takes. We had to do, obviously, a lot of these in multiple takes, but we have Josh Dansby on the left and Jack Rigney on the right, and on this reaction from Jack, you see he kind of looks away, doesn't want to be noticed what he's doing. His reaction, his look away was perfect, but Dansby couldn't contain himself and started laughing, so this shot is actually split in half down the middle, so it's two different takes that were put together. I know David Fincher likes to use this technique a lot. So the other thing is the opening scene where it went from the house to the crew sitting at the table. I think we got that in 7 takes, and the joke punchline in there ended up being different than the script. So the original script was, I think the priest looks at the rabbi and says that's why they call it pulled pork. Mm-hmm. But our sound guy and Dr. Scott Ross was just smarting off and said something about that's not a fur coat, that's my wife. And that ended up being the joke that made it in the script. Okay, so funny thing here, we had to redo this shot. Actually, we had to shoot this after everybody was gone. because just a miscommunication between me and myself, between the script and the shot list. I didn't get this shot here, and so we got over there and realized we needed audio along with the camera. So this audio is actually just straight off of my iPhone using the Shure Motive recording app. So it's a great app. It's free if you're into the whole filmmaking thing, and straight out of the phone just sounded great going into this. Okay, so that was a pair of teeth, or a set, I guess, more than a pair. That was a set of teeth that was just sitting around our granddad's house. It was enclosed in plastic, and they are joke teeth, but you never know what you'll find in this house. And the house is actually the house that we shot in. So Jack Rigney, our granddad, was gracious enough to not only be in the movie, but let us crash his house for about a week and a half while we shot, and let us use his teeth at the same time. So fun story here. The wind was kind of blowing. Now that we finished the film and showed it this last week, the wind is blowing about 50 miles an hour here in Lubbock. But when we shot this, the wind wasn't blowing hardly, and so what we did is we ran over to the house, grabbed the camera, and we literally just picked up all the leaves and loose grass that we could find and threw it in front of the camera. So if you look back here, you see stuff blowing across the screen. We're just throwing it up and letting the wind catch it. So little DIY trick.
Marvin, are you all right? You look a bit peaked.
I'm not feeling too well. I think I'm going to go lie down. Folks, I'm sorry to have to cut this short, but I'm not feeling very well. Betty, I believe these are yours.
The clock.
The clock. It got more FaceTime than Dansby did.
Clock face joke.
Pun intended. Okay, so funny thing here.
We should probably watch the whole thing and then describe the...
Well, they've already watched it at this point, I would hope. If you haven't watched the movie at this point,
then why are
go
you
back
watching this?
and watch the whole thing.
We're stopping so you can change over to the original one.
Yep.
Okay,
So-
because this is spoiler alert time.
Yeah, very much spoiler alert. So when we shot this, we had a crew of 4 of us. One of the crew, actually 2 of the crew members were acting and on the crew. So crew, when I say crew, I'm talking about people that worked on the film and not acted. So Dansby is actually in the shot, and there's a joke coming up in a minute, and we didn't want to see his face here, so I actually took a 3D model of a pineapple. And it's a Video Copilot 3D model, and used the Foundry's camera tracker to track this in and obscure his face when she sits down. So that pineapple hair there was actually not there when we shot this.
And it's funny how many... we watched this at NAB where it premiered, and like NAB along with cast members didn't even realize that was in the shot.
Oh, yeah.
Until we told them, hey, do you remember how there wasn't a giant pineapple in the room?
Yeah, so that worked out really good to obscure his face. So, and at this point, I think I'm lying on the bed,
Yep.
holding the camera, and if you look at our blog post, you'll see photos of that. And Garen is talking to, I guess she's just talking to an empty pillow at this point.
Well,
Marvin, you've been down for some time.
Well,
should I call you
yeah.
a doctor?
Josh is actually wedged between the nightstand and the bed on the ground
Yes.
doing his lines.
I wish we had a picture of that. That was something to see.
Yeah, he's a big kid, and
Yeah.
the fact that he fit down there was impressive.
Yeah.
No, I'll be fine.
But Marvin, you're as white as a sheet.
I'll be fine. I think I just need to get up and walk around for a little bit.
Well, why don't I go get you some water? See if we can't get some of your color back.
So this shot, that got the most takes out of everything, which on a short film with the limited time we had, 13 takes was a lot, and 13th take was the perfect one. We just, at take after take, the joke just was falling flat, and so we decided at the last minute she pulls off the first sheet, and there's another sheet under it, which is kind of a nod back to Leslie Nielsen, Airplane kind of humor. So, which that's what this movie was done partially in tribute to, because you don't see that kind of comedy anymore. The clock. Now, most of the sound that you hear was recorded on set. We wanted to emulate, 1930s, 1940s the best we could, and I don't know that I don't think they did a lot of post audio at that point, but this was one of the things that we had to have Josh come back in and actually make these noises again. And this is actually Jacob.
Yep, that's me.
So for the transition, Josh is just way too big, so we had to modify, and Jacob was his midget stunt double for this. And this shot right here with the shadow, this is all actually in reverse. So we wanted him to start in the position that he would end in, and we just reversed the footage in the edit suite.
See my hat hair.
Yeah. So one of the things, I heard a couple comments about, how it was just a fade and it didn't look very realistic. But, my answer to that was this was the 1930s or 40s. They didn't have the technology to really morph a shadow the way that I could have done it. So we decided to go with just a straight crossfade.
Who said that?
I don't remember. It was somebody at the booth.
Really?
Yeah. So it was just like,
Huh.
yeah. Anyway, but this was a cheesy effect on purpose. And then out pops the cane from nowhere. When you turn old, you automatically get one.
Marvin?
So this shot, also, when we shot it, we didn't have a shadow on the wall because there wasn't really a way to do that logistically. So I took the shadow from the last shot and just tracked it in and superimposed it on the wall here.
Is everything all right?
Yes, this shot was really, really long on purpose because it's awkward and annoying. And
A lot of anticipation build.
there's us throwing garbage at the camera again. Mm-hmm. Foliage, I guess, wasn't really garbage. So, fun fact about this shot, the tricycle here was actually discovered.
Those darn kids? Get off my lawn.
Yeah, I was on a dinosaur digging hunt in the backyard of this house, and found that fossil of a tricycle in the back. I may have found some bones, but I'm not sure if they were human or dinosaur, so I didn't call anybody in case the police got involved. But here's where Scott, or Dr. Pepper as he's also known, gets introduced. So this right here, Marvin, aka
The werepaw.
It wasn't the werepaw at that point. Unchanged Marvin, Josh Dansby, made this map for us, and like the night before this shot, so it turned out very good. Bravo, Josh. Thank you for making this prop. Because we know. Yeah. So some people didn't catch the joke, but on the map it says house. He looks over, and this house says house. Since I was asked, this house does not actually say house on it. That's visual effects. It was all done CGI or Photoshop, however you want to phrase it.
Makes you sleep at night.
So right here was actually nighttime when we shot this, and that's just a light blasting in from the front door.
Yes, sir. Come on in. Right this way, Doctor. Marvin, this is the doctor I was telling you about.
That's nice. Want some licorice?
Okay, so another funny little anecdote here. When our granddad read the script right here, he looked up and said, "Want some licorice?" And I was like, "Yes, that's perfect. That's the exact line." He was like, "No, really. I've got some licorice on that table over there if you want some." So we had a
genuine werepaw.
We had a genuine werepaw.
I'm pretty sure this character was really based off of him, though.
Maybe not the complete grumpiness, but
oh yeah,
I definitely when the idea of the werepaw was formulated, I couldn't picture anybody else besides our granddad doing this. So I'm really glad that he participated and provided some inspiration and perspiration.
No. Marvin, my name is Dr. Pepper. I'm here today to conduct some tests to determine the source of your ailment.
Ailment? I've never felt better, and I don't need the likes of you here.
Mr. Monaro, if you would please, just give me a minute. I'm sure we could find a cure.
So all of this scene, these two scenes back to back, were all shot in the same day at the same location because we really had to maximize our time on set.
Doctor, what is it?
Looks like you were having quite
This was
Is Marvin okay?
a real-time 3-camera setup.
In fact, he's taking his afternoon nap. Though I did make some discoveries.
What is it?
It's when new information's revealed. But that's not important right now.
Oh.
It appears that though he's technically 25 years old, he has the tendencies and appearance of an 87-year-old man. Things like he takes his supper at 4 p.m. and has an affinity for hard candy.
Surely it can't be that bad.
It is that bad, and we can't use 2 airplane jokes in a row.
Yeah, we wanted to definitely do our nod to one of our favorite comedies, but didn't want to completely rip off all their jokes.
It just so happens I've seen this exact thing in my latest subscription of Sci-Fi Medical Monthly. And Mary, you're not going to believe this.
Believe what?
Believe that if I fill out this questionnaire and send it in with $2, they'll send me genuine X-ray glasses.
What about Marvin?
Oh, right. It says right here, a younger individual who is subject to fits of high irritability, incontinence, and is prone to deafness and forgetfulness may indeed have undergone a mutation, or physical change if you will, to cause them to be classified as Lichanus geriatricus, more commonly known as the werepaw.
A werepaw? You mean like a werewolf?
Don't be silly, Mary. Werewolves are fictitious creatures used in stories to scare children. This is much more serious.
So the funny thing about that scene is when Ross was writing the script, we were sitting in the office, and I'm sitting at my desk, and he's sitting at his, and he's giggling like a little girl. And finally, he's like, okay, I'm ready for you to read it. So I walked over there, sat down, and I was crying by the end of reading that section, because for me, I'd read a section, then kind of anticipate what was going to be said next. And every time, it was exactly what I anticipated, or like, with the way our train of thinking goes, we always have these like crazy, weird side paths and anecdotes and things we come up with when we're reading a story or somebody's telling us a story. And we've spent enough time together that it was exactly what I expected to be said.
So one of the tough things for this was finding music that was appropriate. Sound effects were easy, but man, finding the music was tough.
Menard residence.
Mary, this is Dr. Pepper. How's your husband doing today?
Doctor, I'm afraid he's getting worse. He hasn't went anything around the house in the last 4 days except for his pajamas and some house slippers.
Okay, so in the original script, he was supposed to be wearing a bathrobe, but his pajamas were too good, so we had to augment that on set. And I don't remember when it was. I wasn't there for this part of the conversation, but apparently our granddad was talking to Jacob and said, you know what's going to make this really funny?
No, he said what we were talking during waiting for the exterior scene, and he comes up to me and says, you know what always makes the best audio? And I said, I don't know, Pappy. What was that? He said, add a lot of farts to it. And it totally caught me off guard. So his wish was granted.
Yeah. And secretly it was our wish too.
Yeah. But we can blame it on somebody else.
Yeah, totally. Totally it was his fault.
I see. Well, I don't want to give you false hope, but I believe I may have found a cure for Marvin.
So that was an on-set accident. Originally he was just delivering his line, and then as takes evolved, I eventually told him, well, just go ahead and, put the pipe in your mouth and say your line. And the first, he'd put the pipe in his mouth and pull it out and say the line. And then at the end, one of the last takes, I was like, well, go ahead and put the pipe in your mouth and leave it there. Just try to talk around it, and let's see what happens. And so he did that, and the pipe started whistling. And, the sad thing is we all lost it on that take, which you can see in our outtakes reel. But it was so stinking funny, and we never got as good a whistle out of the pipe as we got in that first take that ended up getting trashed. But that this was not originally in the movie. As far as the script goes, this was added because of just an accident on set.
Slippers.
I see. Well, I don't want to give you false hope, but I believe I may have found a cure for Marvin.
What?
As a result, her what was added as well.
I said I don't want to give you false hope, but I believe I may have found a cure for Marvin. It's an elixir I've concocted that contains 23 key ingredients. No, prunes are not one of the ingredients. Now, I think I have a plan. Here's what I need you to do. We'll get me and Marvin in the same room, throw a little soiree, if you will.
So, again, obviously, at this point, hopefully you realize that his name is Dr. Pepper, and if you know Jacob and I, you know that we love Dr. Pepper.
Some people could call it an addiction.
Those people can stuff it.
We call those non-believers.
Yeah. So, I mean, if one of us ends up in the hospital, we don't want a saline IV. We want Dr. Pepper in a bag. That's my goal. And if I die that way, then it's a pretty good death. So, whenever he mentions that his concoction has 23 ingredients.
It contains 23 key ingredients.
Yeah, that's basically a nod to
23
flavors, and also
disputing the common misconception.
Yeah, they're myth busting. That's what it is. A lot of people, well, Dr. Pepper has prunes in it. Well, no, it doesn't. I don't think it ever has. But So that was one of the jokes here. And also, since I'm just going to go ahead and explain all the jokes, over here on the right-hand side, one of the things we really ran into shooting in this house, which this is the front living room in the same house, we had to shoot around modern technology, and some of it we were able to get out fairly easily. Some of it we just had to leave because it was going to be too time-consuming or too much of a move to get stuff out of the shot. Plus, we wanted to be respectful of our granddad's property and his time and his things. So on the right-hand side, there was actually like an envelope box, probably circa 2003, and some desk trays that probably didn't come out until the 60s or 70s. And so those were a major eyesore. So I went ahead and added these books in, found a good model, a 3D model, and added the title, made multiples of them and set them up there so they would completely block what was actually on set. So the books there are completely fake. And I loved the title, Become a Doctor in 6 Easy Steps. Kind of lends to his legitimacy
It's an elixir
a little bit.
concocted that contains 23
Also,
key
the
ingredients.
this is the only rotary phone we had on set.
Oh, yeah.
So if you see it in the movie several times, Mary talks on it, and then the doctor talks on it here, and then it's
Sitting
toward
on
the
the
end on
side table.
side table, and we only had one because they're not easy to come by. So
I actually found out that I had one in my entryway the whole time. So we could have had two phones,
but who needs two phones when you can pull a Robert Rodriguez and use the same prop in multiple scenes?
yes,
so,
very much so.
So
And I gotta hand it to Jacob for mentioning that. A lot of this stuff came from watching a lot of Robert Rodriguez's 5-minute film schools and how he pulled stuff off. But a lot of the visual effects stuff, obviously, came from Video Copilot. But if it wasn't for Stu Mashwitz himself, the man who was in charge of the VFX on Sin City, he has a great book out called The DV Rebels Guide. It's basically an all-digital approach to making action film budgets on no budget whatsoever. And this was one of those ideas, just painting stuff out or placing things over it, because we didn't have the time or the budget to get rid of those things in real life. So thanks, Stu.
also, Ross got to fanboy and meet him last week at the Mandarin Oriental.
There was that.
That's pretty freaking cool.
That was. He signed my book
And your
and my
movies.
movies.
And your butt. Oh,
We weren't supposed to.
sorry.
Moving on.
Now, I think I have a plan. Here's what I need you to do.
So this was Jacob's idea to
You are
kind
in
of
the
tilt
same
down
room
and
throw a little soiree, if you will.
land on the globe there. And again, the clock. More time than Dansby got. Man, another clock joke. Time, face.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We're on a roll. Hi.
This is for you, Harold.
Yo. Yep. This is the commentary and pun marathon. Okay.
I want to thank you both for having me over for supper. Most people don't realize how hungry you can get by 4 p.m.
Don't mention it, Doctor. How was your dinner?
I noticed you didn't touch your liver.
So again, this was our second really big scene, and we did this again with 3 cameras all synced up. So this is mostly a real-time
Interaction.
real-time interaction, a real-time scene. And one of the things that we got down to it, and then I don't think people realize how when you have a small crew like this, there are things that just get overlooked. And one of those things was, as you heard the werepod just mention, I noticed you didn't touch your liver. They were supposed to have liver and onions. And A, we didn't have any liver or onions. And B, I made a judgment call that nobody wanted to smell liver and onions. So we decided to forego that. And this is a post-dinner scene. So it's kind of implied that they've already eaten, and Mary's kind of cleaned the table off. So anyway, that's why there's no actual food on the table. And be glad, because
We'd be dead.
it'd be awful.
Marvin, why don't we celebrate with a toast?
We don't eat toast with liver. We eat Jell-O.
No, Marvin, a toast.
For what?
A toast for your
I
good
love
health.
his reaction.
Hogwash.
And I have just the thing for such an occasion. I call it Mr. Zesty.
Haha, he didn't call it Dr. Pepper. Joke's on you. So I want to give a shout out to Byron Rogers for hooking us up with this beaker.
Yeah.
Because, I don't have any beakers lying around. I know Jacob doesn't. Neither one of us finished college, so we didn't even get to the point where they would use beakers.
Yeah, definitely didn't have that. Didn't.
So yeah, we were loaned a real beaker. Actually, it was a full set of beakers, but we only needed one.
We just need the big one.
Yeah. So, but Mr. Zesty, there you go.
I'm not drinking that.
Oh, come on, Marvin. I made it special for this occasion.
Well, if you're going to get your knickers in a twist, let me have that thing.
Okay, side note, we're not cruel and unusual. Well, we are unusual, but we're not cruel. He's not drinking the liquid out of the beaker here, because that is an actual beaker that gets used, and I'm sure it's clean.
In the college chemistry lab.
Yeah, yeah. So, but we didn't actually make him drink out of the beaker for obvious safety reasons.
And we did the most Texas thing we could do and got him to drink out of a Whataburger cup.
Yes. He's not actually drinking Mr. Zesty. He's drinking another product.
Mr. Nasty.
What have you done?
Doctor, do something.
Okay, so side note here, this is not going where you think it's going.
Okay.
I could really embarrass Jacob here, and you
I
could
mean,
probably
it doesn't really
imply
matter.
why now. No, if it doesn't matter, the last fart noise you hear was totally him.
Yeah, that was self-fabricated.
So we may or may not have a whole library of those that are at-home sound effects. But no, the point I was going to make was whenever he first starts hacking and coughing, originally it was all just him coughing. And when he was rehearsing this, he starts coughing up a lung, and Jacob and I thought he was dying on set. He was coughing so hard.
You see the look that the doctor and Mary make at each other, like, what's going on? That's the look that Ross and I made at each other, saying, are we about to have to call an ambulance?
So, and all of a sudden the coughing stops, and he's like, so will that work? It's like, you had us convinced, carry on. So, that was a bit of a scare on set, so. Right here, we didn't make our 87-year-old granddad fall out of his chair and hit the floor. I know what you're thinking, and you can stop thinking it. We're not that mean. That's actually a stunt double.
A stunt dance bowl.
Wow, that was a stretch. That was a terrible stretch. No, that's Josh Dansby, and we just framed it and had him composed where you couldn't tell who it was.
Do something.
There he is. This was our granddad's favorite part of the movie, seeing this, seeing Josh Dansby stuffed into his pajamas. As you can see, they're a little small. This was that was one of those.
I think it was Scott's idea.
Yeah, I think we were just rolling, and Scott just came in and started hugging. And of course, we lost it in the first take because that's anytime Scott had an idea, that's just how it happened. We couldn't maintain composure, but we kept the idea, and it really worked out because we were able to eliminate 2 extra shots by him doing this. So the first crash zoom, we were supposed to do a zoom on each of them, and we were able to get them all in one shot. Yep. And it's actually a really good frame.
It is a good frame.
Crashing. There's the phone, the golden lady, the house,
The other,
the other house. Bob Knight.
Knight.
That's me.
Scott.
Yeah, you might recognize this guy. He plays a doctor on TV. And
He has the best crash zoom of them all.
yeah,
His
was
reaction was so
his
much
our
better
favorite.
than everybody else's.
There's Jacob in our slate. So that was pretty much it. We had a ton of fun shooting this,
Yes, we did.
and really wanted to honor the old system. Now, this shot right here, and all these stills are straight out of the movie, but this one, our granddad, I don't even remember where we were, but I was talking to him, and he looks up at me with a scowl just like this one, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I guess the movie's done. He's mad about something, and he's like, eh. So I kind of stopped talking. He was like, is that the face you want me to make? And I was like, that's perfect.
Then he smiled and went on with his day.
Smiled and went on. So the other thing is, he played Betty Crocker, the old lady who drops the teeth in the water at the beginning, and we told him that he might be the old lady. So we were loading gear into the house on the first day, and I walk into the entryway where Bob Knight was, and there's this old lady standing there that looks like something out of an actual horror movie. Scared the crap out of me. I'm sure the whole neighborhood heard me yell. I know Jacob heard me from outside. But it was my granddad testing out costumes and scaring me in the process. So, at this point, I guess we'll just go through some thank yous. Like our dinner scene extras, we couldn't have done this without them, because it really, the idea hinged on having a party at the beginning, and so
Also,
really
the golden lady.
the golden lady
Couldn't have done it without her.
But Chance, Alyssa, and Kylie, we really appreciate those guys coming through in clutch for us. Executive producer Ryan Avery, this idea may have never been shot if it wasn't for him saying, hey, shoot something stupid and funny, because I need something stupid and funny to show at the trade show, which, for those of you who don't know, it's called NAB, National Association of Broadcasters. Scott Ross, another huge thank you, because he drove in from Dallas and did this out of the kindness of his heart.
Yeah.
Dansby, he's always a huge help. My daughter, Terry, actually helped for a day, which I probably got 30 minutes worth of work out of her, which for being a 13-year-old, that's about 29 more minutes than I expected. We forgot. So Jackie Rigney, our uncle, provided the phone for us. Our mom provided the golden lady. James Lee at 16 by 9 and the MoveCam team, they sent us a wireless follow focus, which really helped. And then Robert Eagle at Prite Tangerine provided our matte box for this short. And I guess one that we forgot was Byron Rogers for hooking us up with the beacon.
Sorry.
Not beacon, beaker.
The beacon.
So, but anyway, so I guess that brings this
Long-winded, absurd excuse for a joke to an end.
long-winded, absurd excuse for a commentary is what this was. But we really appreciate everybody who is involved, and it really was a team effort. We all had a blast on set, and
Most fun I've had in months.
A long time. So last thing here, our grandmother was a huge inspiration. We lost her just over 2 years ago in 2016, and I don't know that I probably would have seen Airplane eventually, but it was at her house, and because she thought it was a funny movie, that I ever saw Airplane, at least in my earlier years, and
Formative years.
yeah, malformative years for us. But like you see here, she was, not for a sob story, but she was in the hospital after a car accident, and she was getting ready to go home. And I stepped out of the hospital room and popped my head back in and said, just wanted to tell you both good luck, and we're all counting on you. And she looked at me and said, and don't call me Shirley.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the last thing she ever said to us.
Yep.
And so this kind of comedy holds a special place for us.
Had she been here, she would have been our Betty, and she would have gladly put her teeth in any drink sitting around the table.
Oh my goodness! I don't know how she would have felt about being called Betty, because that's her sister's name.
That's true.
We
But
might
her
have to-
full name was technically Betty Crocker.
Yes.
She loved to bake, so I
That's true.
think it comes around in the end.
It works, but so yeah, this was definitely a huge tribute to our grandmother, Honey, and so yeah. Now that this is gone all emotional, I think we're going to wrap it up. We thank you for watching this with us and listening to all the stupid things we have to say. We really, really couldn't do this without everybody's support. So go back, watch the film, enjoy the jokes, and watch it again, and hopefully you'll catch something you didn't catch the first time.
And share it.
Share it.
Check it out on our YouTube and share it and tag people and
All that fun stuff. So,
yeah.
all right, well, we will catch y'all on the next